I'm not getting a response from him.
All right, Chair Kochmar, we are ready to roll on YouTube, and Channel 21 should be active.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. This is the Parks, Recreation, Human Services, and Public Safety Committee meeting on September the 8th, actually starting about 5:02 p.m. We have Councilmember Greg Baruso, who is on audio with us, and we have Councilmember Lydia Acefa Dawson, who is present with us, and we also have Council President Susan Honda, who's joining with the meeting. We are beginning with a call to order, and is there any public comment? Seeing none, we'll move forward to committee business with the approval of the July 14th, 2020 minutes. Do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second that. All in favor? Please say aye. Aye. Not
Chair?
sure. Okay, Lydia is saying aye, and Greg is probably
hear me?
agreeing. Whoa, now we can. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
So, Greg, I believe you're the one that made the motion to approve the minutes, correct?
Correct.
Yes,
Yes.
and Lydia seconded, so we're good. We're good to go. All in favor? It was aye. Motion carried unanimously. Now we're moving on to item B on the agenda, which is the King County Registered Sex Offender Cost Reimbursement Agreement. Chief Wong, are you here, or is it going to be somebody else? Do we have somebody here representing the police department?
Chair
This is
Kochmar, I
Kyle
see
Sumter.
both.
Do you copy me now?
Go ahead.
Oh, good. Thank you.
All right, very good. Yes, this is Deputy Chief Sumter, and it's my pleasure to represent the police department at your meeting today. And as you just mentioned, we have a couple of items on the agenda. The first one is the King County Registered Sex Offender Cost Reimbursement Agreement. And the question before you is, should the City of Federal Way and the Federal Way Police Department accept the RSO Overtime Cost Reimbursement Agreement from the King County Sheriff's Office? And just by way of a little bit of background, you have some in front of you, but this is a grant that we accept from them yearly. And the cost amount for this fiscal year, which runs from July 1st through next end of June, is $17,890.42. And the program is simply a mechanism for King County, all of King County collectively, to have individual officers, we run it through our detective program, go out and verify that the registered sex offenders who are supposed to be living in our city at certain addresses are living in those addresses, and there aren't any problems at those addresses with their residency. And this is a mechanism that gets us out there. We have detectives go out and verify on the weekends, verify residents, and where we find violations, the detectives work up those as individual violations of conditions of release, and then the charges are forwarded to the prosecutor's office for charges against the registered sex offender. So that's the question before you. Should we accept a grant for this fiscal year, which runs through the end of next June?
Thank you, Deputy Chief. Committee members, are there any questions? Seeing none. Oh, Council President Honda, do you have a question?
I do, Chair. I'm not sure that Councilmember Acefa Dawson can hear us. She sent a message saying that she cannot hear. So I don't know that she's connected to the meeting right now.
All right, well, let's hope that she gets back on. We still have a quorum.
So,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Yes, just wanted to let you know.
Okay, thank you. Oh,
Okay. I just used I can hear you from my phone. Can you guys hear me now?
yes, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
You're fine, council member. Do you have any questions about the overtime cost reimbursement for the registered sex offender program?
No, I do not.
Oh,
I
thank
didn't hear the presentation, but I've read the packet.
Basically, it's just to receive a reimbursement for
Right.
registered sex offender overtime from the King County Sheriff's Office, and a little bit over $17,000 for this year. Councilmember Brusso, any questions? Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Any questions? Well, not sure what's going on there, Councilmember Brusso.
Yeah, I don't either.
Okay. So, Council President Honda, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. We accept this grant.
Thank you. Thank you. I have one
I
question.
believe every year. So
Okay. Deputy Chief, does this actually reimburse us for our total costs or portion thereof?
It's most of the cost. It certainly gets us out there doing work on weekends that would otherwise go undone, and that's common throughout all of the other agencies. That's why this grant materialized, because it going out and checking addresses is very low on the priority list when there are other known crimes already committed. This is a mechanism of getting detectives and officers out throughout the county to do work that otherwise would not be done.
Yeah,
And
thank
it's,
you.
yep.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. Can you tell me how many registered sex offenders are in our area?
Approximately 150 are registered living in our area. And of those, that sounds like a lot, but they're broken down into 3 different categories. The most serious category is about a half a dozen, 5 or 6. And then 20 of the mid-level, 20-something, 20 up to 30. And then all of the rest are low-level sex offenders. We only send out notifications on the most serious.
Thank you very much. So of the most serious, are they actually living in a residence or are they living in the woods?
They have to have a residence when they register. They can't just be released into the wild, so to speak.
Okay.
Whether
Okay.
they are living there is subject to verification.
Okay. All right. Okay. Just a worry for our children.
Sure.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Deputy Chief. Do I hear a motion to accept the reimbursement agreement? To move it forward to council. Councilmember Asefa Dawson, can you make the motion?
Councilmember Stephen Dawson has dropped off and now
Okay.
dropped.
All right. I'm
back
going to
on.
move. Thank you. I'm going to recommend that we move to forward the registered sex offender overtime cost reimbursement agreement between the Federal Way Police Department and the King County Sheriff's Office to the September 15th, 2020 consent agenda for approval. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councilmember Dawson. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries, and I'm pretty sure Greg Barroso is on in agreement. So moving forward to the next item on the agenda, Deputy Chief Sumter, are you going to handle that one as well?
I am. This one
Thank you.
regards the Edward Bryan Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, commonly called the JAG grant, for the program fiscal year 2020. And just like the RSO grant that we just discussed, this one requires no matching funds of any kind for the city. It's just essentially free money from the Justice Department to the city to accomplish law enforcement things that otherwise may not get done. And so we applied for a grant asking to purchase a few items, which I will enumerate here. And the total cost, the total award to our proposed award to our city is $39,870. And this is administered or dispersed by the City of Seattle, which is the actual program agent for this area. We've requested a small evidence refrigerator, and this is for when police officers come in during regular off hours, not regular business hours, when our evidence personnel are not present, so that they can come in and store things like sexual assault kits. That'll be the most common, but other blood evidence that we take in and other biological evidence as well. So an officer can store it in this temporary, locked, refrigerated container for the evidence personnel to deal with when they come in on regular business hours. The next item is protective eyewear for our civil disturbance team. You might have seen on the news here this summer that a tactic that was used over in Europe quite some time ago is now being deployed by rioters in the greater Seattle area, as well as around the country, but it is here among us, and it is to shine high-power lasers directly into the eyes of law enforcement with the intent of causing permanent eye damage to the officers. And so this eyewear will protect against that laser illumination. Then the other items don't sound quite so dramatic. We're looking for some things that would probably just go unreplaced for a while. A Surface Pro replacement, that's for replacing a computer from a previous JAG grant some years ago. And then to purchase supplies and materials intended for community and safety events. If you've seen us set up our table at the back of a community connections meeting or something like that, we give away stickers and pencils and coloring books for kids and several things like that. And so as to purchase or get our supplies on that brought up to speed. And then we have a room that is for managing our Safe Cities cameras, where we have all of our TV screens and so forth. Those office chairs are long overdue in need of replacement, and so we would replace some of those chairs. Opportunity to do that without costing the city of Federal Way any money. So there's the question before you. Should we accept this JAG grant?
Thank you very much, Deputy Chief. Council members, are there any questions?
Yeah, this is Lydia, and I do have a question. So last meeting, we also had another JAG request, approval for accepting the funds. So can we interchange or use the funds for different things as we wish, or are they specific and targeted for these items that you just listed?
Yeah, we had to, there may be a process we can go through to change it, but we had to enumerate those requests as part of applying for the grant. And if you look on in the pages there, you can see that all the cities that are awarded a piece of the pie are not awarded the same amounts. Even though the city of Kent is larger than Federal Way, you'll see that we're receiving more than $1,000 more than they are, and that's based on the requests that we put in our grant. And so to deviate from what they have said okay to will cost us some jumping through hoops, and it may be that they say, if you're not going to buy the thing we approved, we'll just retain that money. That is a risk we have of requesting a change midstream.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. And is there a timeline when it has to be expended by?
Well, they're a little bit more lenient than the RSO grant that we just talked about. The RSO grant is a hard cutoff of you have to spend the overtime before June 30th next year. This one, there seems to be a little bit more, at least my experience with former JAG grants, is that there's a little bit more flexibility and we can apply for extensions if we don't get it spent during the 2020 fiscal year. I think that we have a little bit more room to play with it, but nevertheless, it will expire if we don't play that extension.
Okay. Thank
Jump
you.
through those hoops. You bet.
Thank you.
Councilmember Baruso, I'm not sure if you're able to speak. Do you have any questions? Okay, he may, but he may not be able to speak. I know he's connected. Councilmember President Honda, do you have any questions?
I do. I see that there are 2 cities that declined this grant and the county undeclined this grant. I'm not sure what that means. Why would they not take
Yeah.
money? I don't understand
Why
that.
would they not take free money? I don't understand either. We have relied upon JAG grants. As far back as I can recall, and I'm a founding member here of our police department, it can only be reasons that I can't explain that are politically driven. From a police department operations perspective, there is zero reason to not accept the money. There are only reasons to accept it. So it's possible that somebody doesn't agree with something going on politically, either in Seattle or from the Justice Department, and so they say, we don't want your money, take it and pound sand. So,
Yeah, if I could just interject here, just from a legal perspective, having reviewed the packet, there are some caveats in the materials and the agreement that we have with the city of Seattle as the dispersing agency. There was a lawsuit with the Conference of Mayors against the federal government regarding immigration enforcement. And these are what are commonly referred to as burn grants. We're calling them JAG grants, but in the press they're often referred to as burn grants. And there was an attempt to condition the burn grant money on complying with federal immigration enforcement. And there was a lawsuit about that. And essentially the upshot of the lawsuit is you can't condition the money on that. And the city of Seattle has reserved its rights in still taking the money. And I don't know what the thinking is of Burien or the other jurisdictions, but I would suspect that they feel very, very strongly about that issue to the point where they were willing to forego the money and not even get into a discussion about whether they would have to do those things. But the truth is that the current decision that's on the books, there are no strings attached other than we have to spend the money on the stuff that we said we're going to spend it on. That's all I got on that.
So I have one other question. So Kane County says undeclined. So did they decline it and then they decided to accept it? Is that what that means?
Probably, and it probably has to do with the fact that in the meantime, the decision came out in the lawsuit from the U.S. Conference of Mayors, which said you can't condition it. So probably, again, there's some speculation here because I'm not speaking for King County, but I suspect that they originally were, we don't want to take the money because we don't have to comply with federal law. In the meantime, the decision came down saying, well, you can't do that. And so they said, well, we'll take the money.
Okay, thank you very much.
I see that Councilmember Baruso has fully joined us now. Do you have any questions? Oh, he can't speak. You can see him, but he can't speak. Too bad. I'm trying to read your lips. You look a little bit like a phantom coming and going. Well, I will say, Deputy Chief, I'm thrilled that you're working with the kits for the sexual predators. I know that they had a big backlog in the county, and that when I was in the legislature, maybe it was after I was in the legislature, they passed a bill to take care of the backlog of offenses in that manner. And that's so important particularly to the women that that's occurred to. It's a very frightening thing to have happen to them, and to know that their predator is going to face some consequences is important to them. And I'm also very pleased to know that we're going to get some eyewear to prevent damage to our officers' eyes from lasers being pointed at them. So I'm very, very pleased to hear that as well. So thank you. I see Councilmember Baruso has had thumbs up on that. So good. All right. So can I hear a motion to?
Oh, I have one more question.
Go ahead, Council President.
If someone were to point a laser into an officer's eyes and that person what the officer is able to identify who did that, would they be charged with something? I mean, that
Assault.
seems really dangerous.
Yes, that is a felony assault for sure. If they, whether they did it to an officer or to anybody else, because these lasers that they're using are powerful enough to cause permanent eye damage, and anyone who did that to anybody else would be guilty of a felony assault.
Okay.
And so they like to sit back deep in the crowd where it's hard to identify who's doing it and shoot it in the dark crowd and shoot it into the eyes of the officers.
I know
Okay,
they even
sounds
try to do
awful.
that to pilots while they're landing, which is
Right.
just horrible.
Yeah. Yep.
So I do have a question.
Go ahead.
So thank you. By accepting this, something you said about the immigrants, and maybe I just wanted a little clarification with the mayor's lawsuit, Council of Mayors. So by accepting this money, are we?
There's
gonna
no
be
strings
obligated?
attached for us.
No strings attached whatsoever. So we're not obligated.
Correct.
Got it. That's my question. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you so
Correct.
much. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's helpful.
You know, I'm really happy to live in a community where we don't have to fear that we have people who are going to burn our businesses, or I'm okay with peaceful protesting. I'm just happy that we're not facing some of the challenges some of these other communities are facing. So thank heavens for that. So council, do I hear a motion to approve the grant?
Yes, I move a motion to approve the JAG grant. And I don't know, pass it to for consent.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. So the committee recommendation is to move to forward the 2020 JAG grant to the September 15th, 2020 consent agenda for approval. Thank you very much, Councilmember Sapadawson. And I'm laughing at Councilmember Brusso because I see him saying, like, I wish I could speak, but I can't. Okay, but I got a thumbs up there. So, it's been moved and seconded to approve the grant. I'm the second. So all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, and a thumbs up from Councilmember Brusso. Thank you very much. So thank you very much, Deputy Chief, for your excellent presentation.
My
So
pleasure.
this is a very short meeting. And I'm going back up to the top of the agenda here to see if we have any other items. It's taking me a minute, sorry.
There isn't.
So are there any other items for the good of the order of the agenda? Seeing none, our next meeting will be October the 13th, 2020 at 5 p.m. Unless there's anything else, we are adjourned.
Thank you so
5:25
much.
p.m. Yes.
Thank you.
Good night.
And sorry about the technical difficulties that we've had.
Let's hope that Thursday night we have no